Hey, welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about how you can actually influence your partner's energy, which helps you create the relationship you want without leaving the one you're in, which is exactly the work that I do. Now, one of the things that I work on with clients is stepping out of these dysfunctional patterns that we learn in our childhood and actually changing things that way. But another thing that we do is actually influence our partner or husband's energy through our own energy. Now, this is the concept I learned from the brilliant and beautiful Dr. Laura Berman in her book, Quantum Love. She shares all about quantum physics in there. And if you missed my blog on that, please be sure to go read it because it's all very fascinating, maybe slightly boring stuff, but but the gist is that we are all made of energy. We are all just these little vibrating photons and everything. And sometimes we clump together into mass, but basically we're just all energy. And so we can influence each other because we are energy. And one of the ways we do that is through something called entrainment. But before we talk about entrainment, let's talk for a minute about the quantum physics. So the principle that everything connected is known as non-locality. One energy particle can influence another energy particle even when they do not touch in any way, and even when they are separated by billions of miles. Isn't that fascinating? So quantum entanglement shows us that particles can instantly coordinate or cause each other to move at the exact same time, even when separated by miles. And this connection can still happen even if one of the particles no longer exists. Isn't that crazy? So it's really fascinating, and my mind could go 1,000 different ways thinking about all the implications of this. But know that we are all connected, we are all energy, and we can influence each other across billions of miles. We have infinite entanglements across time and space. But they also tested this with lovers. So the researchers at the University of Washington took lovers and they put one partner in a room in one place and one partner in a room in another place across the building. And then they monitored their ocular and brain reactions. So then they took the partner in the one room and they shine light in his eyes and then measure the response in the partner across the building and found, let me make sure I get this right. Um, the second partner's brain reacted when the first partner was exposed to the light, despite the separation. You are so connected to who you're with, your kids, your husband, your wife. You're so connected. So just know that. Our ability to influence through energetic connection is called coherence. Now, coherence is something that we actually do internally as well. It's when all of our systems are in sync and harmony and peace. And if you think about it, if we're not in coherence, then the rhythm of our heart or the rhythm of our brain activity is just very jagged and erratic. If you were to watch on a screen, it would just be going up and down and crazy. Coherence is when we get into a smooth rhythm and the brain and the heart are in sync. All the systems are in sync. We are actually operating at a different wavelength in our brain, and they can measure that. So when we're in stress, we're in high beta brain wave lengths. And then when we get into coherence, we're in something else, which I don't remember right now. It's either alpha or delta or theta, but one of those, it doesn't matter. In any event, it means that you feel peaceful and calm and clear, and you have access to this wisdom that you didn't even have before. So internally, we can get into coherence. And that's something that I teach my clients to do. In fact, I'm finishing up a certification through the Institute of Heart Math. It's a institute that's done all kinds of science on this, and they have a certification about it. But we move into these energizing emotional states by getting into coherence within. But then we can positively influence our partner through entrainment. Entrainment is being studied for all kinds of different reasons, but it's when the frequency is locked between two oscillating bodies. So think of like a pendulum. They have different frequencies when moving independently, but when interacting, they assume a common period. Okay. They've also used this in rehabilitation for things like strokes, traumatic brain injury, and even cerebral palsy. There's even a field called neurologic music therapy that uses rhythmic musical application for motor rehabilitation. They're actually using the frequency of music. Isn't that fascinating? So when we get into coherence within, then we positively affect the rhythms of our partner and get them into coherence. So we are actually moving them out of fear. But the trick, the trick is that when you're an empath and very sensitive, it's much, much easier to match their energy, to entrain to them in that negative state where we go into our own fear and our own stories and all these things about the situation. When we are defensive and we get into the argument and are protecting ourselves, if we don't lock into, have that strong boundary and lock into our own coherence, then we do align to them. So we want to move into this, be that powerful energy, that nice, smooth, peaceful energy, and let them entrain to us. In her book, Dr. Laura Berman says you're plugged into your partner at your most fundamental level, constantly sending and receiving messages with each other. We are plugged in, we are connected, and you have a choice. When I did this in my marriage, when I made that conscious intention to stay in coherence, to stay in this state of love, keeping my energy there no matter what my husband was doing, it was very fascinating. He came home one day and I was there and he was kind of negative and it was hard. It was really hard. And then we went to pick up our children at the Montessori school they went to. And I noticed all these people and they're responding very differently to me. And hey, Beth, how you doing? And very friendly and nice. And as the time went on, he just started to change. It took a minute, but then he came around. He'd been prepared for me to be kind of, well, the bitch that I had been being. But when he realized that I wouldn't join him there and that I was in this higher place and his body just matched mine without even knowing it, it really made a huge, huge, huge shift. In fact, that was one of the key moments, the pivotal moments and a key day in our marriage journey, and the work that saved my marriage was the day that I chose to stay in my own coherent energy, no matter what he was doing, stay in a state of love. It didn't mean that I'd allow him to hurt me. It just meant that my energy stayed smooth and consistent no matter what his was doing. And you can do it too. You can learn more on my website, bethrowles.com. Send me a message. I'd love to work with you. I am taking clients now for my 6-month program to go from unhappy marriage to happily ever after in your life, whether he's there someday or not. I want you to get to happy. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow, and I will talk to you soon.